So I call to order this meeting of the Berlin Cultural Council at 7:10 p.m. on December 17th, 2021, pursuant to Governor Baker's order of sometime last year. Provisions of the open meeting law have been adjusted to allow for remote meetings. So this meeting is taking place via the Zoom platform and you are being recorded. And that's about as officious as I'm going to get on that after all these months. So first item on the agenda is the minutes, which Jess, I seem to recall, sent pretty much immediately after the last meeting. So
on time.
Unless does anyone have any discussion on the minutes?
No, good job, Jess, getting them right out.
Thanks.
So I moved that.
Memory is still intact.
I moved that we accept the minutes of last meeting. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay. So I'll call to a vote. Jess? That's
Yes,
a nod
please.
of affirmative. Deborah?
Yes.
And I vote that we accept the minutes. So the minutes are accepted, and that brings us to the other item on the agenda, which is dealing with the fact that we have to get $8,540 down to, I believe, $6,880.
That is the correct amount.
Can you
Yay!
just tell them to me again? I'll write them down properly. 8,000. I had it a minute ago and I deleted it.
Okay, so 8,540 is the amount.
In requests.
I think it says 90 on the website. It says
Okay.
8,590 on the website that I'm looking at.
It does
Okay.
indeed. Maybe I've got one of them written down wrong.
And we have
880.
6,800 to disperse.
6880.
Thank you.
So MJ,
I see which one I had down wrong.
yeah, there was one. There were two that asked for a little bit less money than. Let's see what the title is. The total project expenses and the amount requested. There were two that asked for a slightly lower amount.
Well, I think I had it in my own records a typographical error because I had down I did a rod one as requesting 500 and it appears that is 550. So with that 50, that gets my number back up to 8590.
Okay.
Did anyone push back on the rejection letters?
No?
Oh.
So I think it probably makes sense to start by just discussing what ones we think we most want to. Oh, we have someone else. Karen is here. You press panel.
All right, I'm here.
Welcome.
Hey,
Thank-
Karen.
Hi, Karen.
So I think it makes sense to talk about what ones we think we may want to take more money from, because we, in theory, may want to leave some at their requested amounts. I know we've traditionally tried to, for example, keep, do as much funding as we can for the seniors and such. So if everyone is good with that, just shooting out one thoughts on where we may want to make the bulk of our cuts. I think that's a good way to start figuring this out.
I think which was the BMS? That was the,
Arts for Learning, $1,540.
I mean, that was a substantial,
Yeah, that's one that I would definitely, I guess the reason why that one was so large was because they had to do 2 performances
right?
because of COVID. And while I am sympathetic to their rationale for doing that, I don't think that we're in the position to
Right.
give them nearly that much money.
Yeah, no. We normally fund them like between 600 and 800, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think as much as 900 in the past, but
Okay.
yeah, just around 1,000, which I think is what we can look at for them.
Right.
As I was structuring it out the way I usually do it by putting it in categories.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have other sources of funding, is my understanding correct?
They fundraise.
Okay, and Berlin Memorial School they are no longer connected to Boylston, like.
What do you mean? The schools, no, the school district is now one.
It's totally connected. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
so Berlin could submit to us as well as Boylston.
Yes.
Because the same school system. That's what I'm trying to understand in the past.
Yeah, I guess in theory, I mean, I think each school has their own PTO. At least, especially at the elementary schools, their PTOs handle the programming at each elementary school. So I don't think it would occur to them to ask the other towns, because the kids in the other town don't access the same program.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't think.
But they do fundraising, and they do usually have some money, and they can apply for grants in other ways too. I mean, we're not the only place they can apply to grants.
Right, and I would expect they would do that because this
Yeah.
particular program ran in October. This particular program already ran.
Right.
So.
Yeah, they already paid for it. I mean, they must have paid for it. So.
Right, so they're basically looking for some reimbursement of funds. Okay,
Exactly.
that's
I
what
would think.
clarification on before we decided.
So
Anyway, I think that's one where we could cut some of what's asked. I mean, we don't.
would we, about how much do you think we would want to cut? I mean, I think we should save the actual votes on it until we've kind of, hammered it down. But do we think we'd want to fund at like 900 or 1,000, or would we want to cut even further?
I'd say let's look a little higher at 1,000 first.
Okay.
And we can always, I mean, right now, this is all the preliminary
Yeah.
as we do the math. So let's look at the 1,000.
Okay.
My recommendation, and then if we have to take another 100 to help another, as we talk about the others, that can be done.
Okay.
So I move that we consider the preliminary consideration is $1,000 for the Berlin Memorial School program.
Yeah. Well, I think at this point, let's. I think we could avoid doing motions on and just kind of, have notes on the figures and then.
And then make the motions.
Yeah,
Okay.
if everyone's good with that.
Mhm.
That would simplify things. So,
Yes, it would.
so yeah, so that would bring us down at the moment to 8,050. So, a ways to go. I think 19 Carter is the other big one. Their request is 1,500, and this past year we were able to give them more than they asked for. So I definitely would not feel bad about having to give them less than they asked for this year, particularly since I don't think they are lacking for other sources of funding. So I don't think.
Exactly. Yeah, they fundraise differently also, and they do charge for certain events.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they charge for the concerts as well. So I figured that they would be able to figure that out. So then the question would be where we might want to ballpark that at as a preliminary matter. Would we want to say 1,000 or would we want to go? Okay,
Yeah, let's look at 1,000.
okay. That puts us down to 75.50.
How much, let's see. Well, I know we talked about the adult improv workshops being not that we wouldn't cut a ton there, but we did talk about last time that being a spot where we could cut a little bit since they've been running for several years. We've funded the
Yeah.
same program repeatedly. So in my mind, that's another spot to, where some cuts can be made where it stinks, but I wouldn't feel
Yeah,
like we're taking from the seniors from a program or something, I'd much
Yeah.
rather not take from the seniors and the library and stuff, like for programs that are one-offs that are new. Personally.
She could charge a small fee, correct? For this, it doesn't have to be offered totally free to participants. Am I correct on that?
I mean, I'm sure she would be able to, but I'm in her application. For the question of what happens if you don't get the entire amount, it says if the full amount can't be funded, I will have to scale back funds. We'll cover running the program once a month for 5 months between January and December. If necessary, I'll cut the number of months the program is offered. So that kind of works out to, it 5 or 625 divided by 5 is like 125. So if we cut it down to 500, it in theory just saying 4 sessions instead of 5. I mean, she may want to handle it a different way, but that seems kind of
Okay, no, that seems fair. If we were to cut it back to 500 and she would still be able to run the program just 1 session short
yeah.
of what she normally does.
Mm.
Okay. I think another one we can look at reducing the funding on is the Neshoba Community Band. That was one that we had only approved on a 3-1 vote to begin with, and they're asking from a lot of other towns as well. So I think that is one where we could reduce the funds. They're asking for 500.
I think last year when they asked for funding. It was for a Christmas concert at the mall. And I think we only funded them 125 or something like that. So again, I don't think it serves a huge number of people in our community. So are people comfortable with thinking about maybe about $100 to support them, but not to be able to give money to the library and to the senior programs, I guess is where I'm going.
Okay.
Given I was one of the ones who felt this was a difficult year to fund them at all. Yeah, I'd support 100.
Okay. So yeah, let's that down as 100. So right now that puts us to $7,025. So we would need to
Okay.
cut another, I think, 145 if I'm capable of math. And
So-
assuming we go with the numbers we worked out so far.
How much is the mind body sound therapy asking for?
That is 500.
Which I don't think is a whole bunch compared to, when we look at what the seniors have asked for, as library has asked for the greatest amount at $2,400. So
Yeah.
I'm feeling that we're supporting the children at the school, and then 3 of the 4 programs, well, maybe 2 are very children-centered at the library. The Iditarod one is probably family-centered. And then the Songs of the Highwaymen is probably more adult-centered at the
Yeah.
library. So there's a pretty good spread, but supporting the school and giving that kind of support to the library, that's a lot that maybe we want to look to drop them back a little bit instead of having to cut in on the therapy that people who are struggling with illness and using the program from Berlin.
Agreed.
And the library does have some additional funds, right, from Friends of the Library.
Yeah.
Which was the one who, I'm sorry, my brain fog is still certain days bad. Which program was the one that didn't have a sponsor, but then the library agreed to sponsor?
I think if we're talking about the Highwayman one, that was one where they did not have it wasn't in the
Right.
application itself, but they had reached out that they had talked to Bob.
Okay. And that one's more an adult oriented one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, let me look at it real quick.
Yeah. Songs and Stories. The Highwayman is a musical presentation which I perform songs and tell stories about the country supergroup, the Highwaymen. The Highwaymen were formed in the 1980s and featured superstars Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and Chris Christopherson. Blah 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 blah.
Mm.
Yeah, that
Kind of
that's-
sounds like a good program for 19 Carter instead of the library, huh?
Mm.
Maybe they could do it joint with the library,
Mm.
and then they could charge an admission,
to
because I don't think the library charges admission to anything. I don't know if they even can,
Mm.
but if they did it joint with, I mean, it's too late now anyway, because,
Well, that would be something they would have to
right,
make
they would have to figure that.
work out.
Yep.
So if we were to consider dropping the amount a little bit there, the other one that's really high, like that Songs of the Highway, they're asking $650. the man, I think it was a man who did the comics thing, he was asking $450. The Iditarod presentation was $550, and then the Elijah Grasshopper $750. That seems a little high. And maybe we should
Yeah.
look at that one as well, if the library really wants that. There's
Might
a
have to,
range there running from 450 to 750, and maybe if we can equalize it a little bit, then the library can step in and, if they really want these programs, find the additional funding.
Yeah.
We'll work for the Friends of the Library, but that's probably, they're kind of what they are for, right? At some point I want to join. Yeah.
In your spare time, Karen.
That's why I haven't yet, like, yeah, it's on my list. But I try to go support them, if anything, you know.
Yeah, I've kind of thought that the Elijah T. Grasshopper one seemed like one that, you know, I wondered how many people would end up going to that. It seemed like it was probably better for, you know, larger towns, but the effort compared to audience seemed like a little unbalanced for Berlin.
The target age is ages 2 to 8.
Oh, yeah. Seems like that would be perfect for, who's the guy last year? And I think I went to that program. Who did the musical stuff with the kids? He was at the 1870 town hall in the auditorium there. I mean, it sounds like that's kind of perfect for that space too. But I think it was a library program too, like a summer library program. It might have been.
are there any other programs that have a target age that are the preschoolers who are not at BMS? Or is that the only one?
Let me look back. I can. So the Iditarod is not going to appeal to preschoolers. And then the other one is it's about drawing and making comics. So that's going to be older children as well.
Yeah.
So Elijah Grasshopper is the very young children.
That's the only one.
Is going to be family and older kids.
Yep.
The comics is going to be older kids, and the Highwaymen is going to be adults.
Yeah.
So it's a good point that you make, Jessica, that maybe we should consider this one, but maybe not fully fund it, but maybe.
Right, but I don't want to cut it. I don't
No.
want to slash it, because that looks like it's the only program for the 5 and under crowd in town, which is a group that actually does use
Programming.
So would you want to not cut anything or just cut a little? Or
well, I think we should cut some. I mean, the Friends of the Library, and that's a pricey program, and it's probably, as you said, it's probably not that many families. When you look at the whole town's population, the amount of people who were likely to go to it are not that great. But I don't want to slash it so much that the friend, you know, that there's not wiggle room for the Friends to work with the performer to figure something out. It's like I'd be okay like cutting it back to either 600 or 650
Okay.
personally, to bring it more in line with the other programs.
Yeah, with the other programs, because
Yeah.
that's the highest one.
Yeah, so I'd be like, okay, saying 600. But that's just me.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, we can look at that, and if we end up with surplus money, we can always add back in. But I think your
Yep.
point is very good about that you noted that younger crowd that we hadn't thought about when we were looking at this.
Well, even if we were to say cut 50 off of Iditarod, off of the Highwayman, and off of Elijah T. Grasshopper, that I believe would get us to where we want to be with $5 to spare.
Okay.
Hmm.
$5?
Damn.
Well, we could put that $5 back to someone.
Yep, absolutely.
So are you saying cut Elijah Grasshopper back to 700?
700, the Highwayman to 600, and Iditarod to 500.
Leave the comics as it is at 450.
I would.
Yeah. Cut Iditarod to 500, Highwaymen to 600.
And a lot, yeah. I believe with everything we've already discussed, that would put our number at 6,875.
All right, do the math, MJ, because we could be adjourning this meeting in 5 minutes if it works out and give somebody $5 more.
Well, I mean, that's what so I had set up an Excel document for the money last time, and so according to that's the math it's doing, that's where we're at. So would we want to throw 5 back to someone, or?
So you are looking at fully funding the seniors at 1,525.
Yeah,
I'm just reading it back to what I wrote down to make sure that, because that's what the treasurer does.
At 1,000, what would it be?
1,525,
25, okay.
what theirs adds up to, I believe.
Hmm.
And then Meredith Charles at 500,
yeah,
the music series at 19 Carter at 1,000.
yeah.
Songs of the Highwaymen at 600. The comics as asked 450. The Iditarod at 500. Elijah Grasshopper at 700. The Berlin Memorial School Program at 1,000. Neshoba at $100, and the Mind Sound Therapy at 500. Are those
Yeah.
all correct?
I do believe so.
Okay. Since I'm going to have to enter them.
And I'm gonna have to get the numbers from you again with the
Mhm.
right numbers next to the right presentations, because
I'll write it out for you, Jesse,
Yeah, thank
making
you.
a mess
I
of
need
this.
to
like I
take
did.
over.
So who do you want to give the
Okay.
extra $5 to?
Maybe back to the school.
So give them $1,005.
Yeah. Since there were the ones who had to do things in a multiple that wasn't 25 to begin with, it's, I don't know.
Okay, so
Alright.
the other thing that we will run into now is the Berlin fiscal year money that the program has to be
Right.
finished by June 30th. So definitely the Berlin Memorial School Program, that's fine. And then I'm going to have to find the difference of the $495 with somebody else here. Their grants can be paid in 2 parts. So that's
what
not,
about the mind body sound therapy sounded more like a donation, if I read it right, or if I'm remembering it right. since it's an ongoing thing. I don't think that one was, that's not for a specific date. So they would just need to send in a request for their money, right?
Yeah, I'm just, 1,005, so 495. I'm looking at somebody else who's close.
Okay.
That being the case, would it make more sense to put that $5 towards one that we aren't going to want to deal with that in that sense?
It would make it easier if I could do the 500. Yeah, I think I know what you're asking me, and yes, if we do Berlin Memorial School 1,000, the mind sound therapy, tell them they need to put the thing in before June 30th, and that would be $500. The Seacoast Stompers is another one that's $500, and put that other $5 somewhere else, maybe
Okay.
at to Meredith Charles or the summer music program. It would make sense.
We didn't, oh, yeah, the 19 Carter.
Yeah, do you remember, I'm looking back now when Seacoast Stompers was going to be?
Yeah, hold on.
Hmm.
That one would be June 26th.
That's cutting it too close, because if they get rained out or have to redo. Okay, so what else do we have at? Meredith Charles is one we were going to give 500 to. The Iditarod. How about the Iditarod one?
500.
That we were going to give her 500.
Well, how about, then from the town, it's 1,500, so wouldn't just having the healing one and the school one at 1,500, and then that takes care of the Berlin money?
Say that again?
Wouldn't just having the school get paid from the Berlin money, or the school program, and the healing garden one?
At 500, yeah.
Yeah, so,
As long as Healing Garden, I think I just wanted to be aware of what they wrote, and Jess said she said it was ongoing, so they could
I
be,
just, that's my memory. I don't remember.
our mind, body, sound therapy series will host 24 virtual sessions from July 2021 to June 2022, held second and fourth Tuesday. So,
okay,
yeah.
so that falls.
It's already been going. It's already been.
yeah,
Okay.
so
What's that? Where? Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, so
So
that,
So if we just, are we allowed to put a note in their acceptance, asking them to ask for reimbursement before June
yes,
20th?
yeah, we did that
I would
last
just-
year.
Yeah.
Did that
I
last-
would be, I think we should just tell them, look, we're giving you this money, but you have to ask for it before this date.
Right, whatever you're doing has to have happened, so
And since it's already been happening,
school already is fine, because they fall within the fiscal year, so
right?
as long as this mind sound therapy, they've already started the program in June. And supposedly from what I heard, you guys read to me, it was until the end of June 2022. So they fall within that range, and we have to
Yeah.
make sure that they submit for that. And that's something I watch too. If they haven't, then I tell them, and June is okay with it as long as it's, I tell her that money has to be encumbered while I wait for the paperwork. Okay, so they're the ones that will put the stipulation about, Berlin will apply right away.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then,
we said that the $5 back to the 19 Carter, and
so we're gonna give them $1,005.
yeah,
Okay.
Okay,
All right. So does that add up, MJ?
it should add up. Yes, it appears to. So I going to make a motion that we fund with the Berlin funds, the Link program for $1,000 and the mind body sound therapy for $500, and that with our remaining funds from the state that we do the full funding of 500 for the Seacoast Stompers, 375 for the Cordelia Bigelow Hastings presentation, 500 for the Improv, 650 for Yours for Humanity Abbey, 100 for the Neshoba Community Band, $1,005 for the 19 Carter Music Series, $500 for the Iditarod presentation, $450 for the Comic Workshop, $500 for the Mind. Oh, I already did that. $600 for the Songs and Stories of Highwaymen, and $700 for Elijah the Grasshopper. Do I have a second to that omnibus motion? Deborah seconded the motion. So I will bring it to a vote. Jess, are you okay with that funding
Yes.
distribution?
I'm
Deborah,
fine
are
with it.
you
Me
good
too.
with that funding
I'm
distribution?
good with it.
Aaron?
Yes.
And I am good with that funding distribution. So it passes. That's how we're doing it. And I have all the numbers down there.
I need the numbers because I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need them too, actually.
I have them down
Go
too.
to the webmaster and all that.
I'm gonna have to enter them.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly, so adult improv was 500, Arts for Learning 1,000, Seacoast Stompers 500, Cordelia Bigelow Hastings, how much was that?
375,
375. Yours for Humanity,
650,
650. The Symphonic Band, that was 100, right?
yeah,
Summer Music Series, $1,005.
yes,
Karen Land, 500.
that's the Iditarod, then yes,
Jarrett Lerner, 450.
yes,
Mind Body Sound Therapy, 500.
yes,
Highwaymen, 600.
yes,
Elijah Grasshopper, 700.
yes.
I have a feeling we're getting these tonight.
So I think that pretty much covers things. Deborah, did you want to write this things? Do you want me? I think these ones we have to actually write, don't we?
Wait, I don't know. I'm happy to enter them. I don't know what happens then.
I think, go ahead.
I feel like if they told the people no, then once we enter, they must be telling the people yes. But I don't know about that. I mean, it seems to me that the way they've set this up is so that we only have to enter stuff and then there's an automatic.
I think I read that the approvals get actual.
Letters?
Yeah,
Okay. Give me a couple of days to look into that. I'll enter them and I'll see what the situation is. And if we need to send letters, then we'll figure that out.
okay. Because I'm happy to write some or not write some, however you find it easier. But at least we have the math figured out on where the money comes from this year.
Yes.
So
I'm
Perfect.
impressed.
I think that
About the information when I give to the webmaster about like how much funding we've given to each of the programs. Am I including when they're happening or just the list and then he puts it on when they're happening? Am I including the timing as well as when they're happening?
I think just the event,
Just the amount,
just
okay.
the amounts. I think it's mainly just to show
Yeah.
where the money goes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
okay.
advertising is up to them all individually.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, you don't need to put when they're occurring because that's the responsibility of the artist to advertise.
yeah. Right, right. I was thinking, yeah, never mind. I had a strange timing thing going through my head. Good, okay. Thanks.
Okay. So I think the only other thing that will come up is before town meeting, when we have our bid for the town report, that ideally I'm happy to put together our inclusion for that, but that's something that we should at the time briefly meet on so you can approve whatever that is. But I think that would be the only thing we likely have to meet over in the next few months. So when that comes up, I will reach out and Deborah and I will make sure that the award letters go out in whatever fashion they go out. So I think that is it. So do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Come on, Karen, second it.
Okay, I'll
second it.
second it. I'll second it.
Okay,
Didn't want to step on each other. Second.
okay, so a vote on the meeting, Jess, yay or nay?
Yay.
Deborah, yay or nay?
Okay.
Karen, yay or nay?
Yay.
And I vote we end the meeting, so this
As much
meeting,
as I like you all.
the Berlin Cultural Council is ended at 7:52.
Wow.